The live stream will begin shortly. Thanks for joining us. This webinar is part of a digital missionary live series organized by Trinity Adventist International Church in Bangkok, Thailand. It is sponsored by community7.org. We are live every Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Bangkok time. Visit bangkokadventist.com for more details. Please stand by and share this video. The live stream will start shortly.
Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a right spirit within me. And cast me not away from thy presence, O Lord. Take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and renew a right spirit within me. And cast me not away from thy presence, O Lord. Take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and renew a right spirit within me. And renew a right spirit within me. And renew a right spirit within me.
Our weekly Digital Missionary Live webinar is sponsored by Community7.org. C7 provides sustainable online platforms and management structures to generate technical and financial resources for the evangelistic work in Thailand. We invite you to learn more about Community7 at Community7.org. Again, thanks for joining us today. The live stream will begin shortly.
Father, I have knowledge, so will you show me now how to use it wisely and find a way somehow to make the world I live in a little better place and make life with its problems a little bit easier to face. Grant me faith and courage and put purpose in my days, and show me how to serve Thee in effective ways, so my education, my knowledge, and my skill may find their true fulfillment as I learn to do Thy will. And may I ever be aware in everything I do that knowledge comes from learning and wisdom comes from You. Amen.
How to show them how to do.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you can hear me well. Thank you so much for joining me online. I think we have Pastor Galbo here on Zoom with us. We have some other pastors that will be joining in shortly, but I thank you all for being here. I just want to check, Pastor Galbo, can you hear me well? Everything's okay? Just checking. Perfect. Good evening, Pastor. Thank you so much. Okay, just checking all the accounts. We are live on Facebook and YouTube tonight, so we'll be very happy to be receiving your questions. So if you are on any of those platforms, on YouTube or Facebook, please make sure to just connect with us, and you can share your questions as well online on the chat, and we'll be able to interact that way. If you want to come in and be part of the conversation, I also invite you to come and join us on our Zoom platform, so you can also be part of the conversation here. But as always, every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m., I welcome you to this moment for us to share and talk about a online ministry, how we can continue to spread the word of God online in this 21st century. And this past 2 weeks, we have been talking about safety and security online. Today is part 2 of our safety and security online conversation. So I hope that today we can talk more about safety and be able to understand a little bit more how we can continue to work as missionaries online and stay safe from all of the threats and challenges of the world out there. But with that, I want to welcome the Holy Spirit to this live streaming broadcast, and as well as this conversation. So thank you, God, for being with us. Be with each one of us where we are, and bless our minds, our hearts as we discuss and share. Today, conversation is around safety. So we have a few more individuals joining us on Zoom. Welcome for those that are joining us on Zoom. Pastor Aaron Galvo is there with us, and Pastor Wilter Asin from Saba is here with us as well. So I thank you for joining, for being here with us and being part of the conversation. And on our different platforms also, I think I saw Sister Roussel in one of our, I think it was on our Facebook. So welcome to you there. Please tell me your name. Let me just type a message there so you can tell us who you are, where you are from, where you're connecting from, and we can acknowledge you here on the stream. But with that, we want to know how we can stay safe. The same area, I mean, we have been talking about I will go lately, and I was thinking today, more than I will go is I am going. We are sharing the word of God, and we are going to minister to people online and through our different channels. So if you are connected with people online, or WhatsApp, or WeChat, or Instagram, or Facebook, or Twitter, or TikTok, any of the social media accounts where you are actually already going to the people that need to hear about God. We are already sharing with them the blessing of salvation. So we are not just thinking of going to the ministry, but we are already in the field. I remember the time of my grandfather, where he had to travel days into the jungle. He used to work in the Amazon jungle in South America as a pastor, and he will travel for days on little canoes and hiking through the mountains to get into little villages. And through his journey there, he had to make sure that he would prepare for any danger that he will encounter. I remember when I was a kid, I loved sitting down around the table and listening to his stories. It's amazing stories of survival, how he met tribes that before they were cannibals, and they would kill the missionaries, but he went there, he was there with them, and hearing their stories about how they heard about the message of God and they converted their lives. And I remember the dangers that he would tell us about. and he will show us sometimes the scars where he was attacked or where he fell down a ditch in the jungle and they had to rescue him, or one time where a snake fell on him and bit him on this side, on the left side, on the shoulder, and the whole left side of his body became numb and came down a little bit. So his left side of the face and the body, the chest, you see the body side there, the skin is a little bit lower in that side because of the venom that he experienced there as he went into the jungle. So I was thinking, when he would prepare to go out and be a missionary and go into those remote places, he will try to make any preparation for the different viruses, the different bacteria, the possible dangers that will come ahead. And he will prepare as well as he could. He will train, he will be in good health, and he will try to go and do the best. I feel that today, as we are entering into the mission field, through our cell phones, through our mobile, through our computers, we need to be also prepared and ready to stay safe and secure where we are. Because this is not like we are going far. We are staying in our homes. We're staying in the comfort of where we are, and we feel safe. We think that here between my four walls, I am safe. But the truth is that I am connecting with you and connecting to the rest of the world through the internet. And this is not a safe place, and the place where we are often in most danger is when we think or feel the safest. I heard one time a pastor said, tell me what sin you will never commit, and you are telling me the one where the devil will tempt you the most. Because the ones that you think that you are strongest, if you think that, oh, I will never drink, oh, I will never smoke, oh, I will never do this, those are the areas that oftentimes we are the weakest, because we stop being aware. I remember I grew up in different parts of South America. My parents were missionaries, and we grew up in Peru. I grew up, my first 8 years were in Peru. And with the time of there was a lot of terrorism at that time, and I remember even as a kid how we listened to the guns and the shooting on the street, on the middle of the city, almost every week. And there were bombs, and the electricity would go off, and it was a very dangerous time. And throughout our missionary life, we learned to try to be safe. So even when I went to school or whenever we go out, we will learn from home how to stay safe. When we go out on a dark alley, we know to try to walk on the middle of the street or try to walk more to the side, so you have more options where to run. If you see some people coming towards you, cross the street, go out to the other side. Be aware of who is behind you, what's in front of you, where the lights are, where you're coming from, where you're going. Those are the basic street life, street safety that I practice. And I remember when I went to college, I ended up one summer in a small island in the Caribbean. And the Caribbean is so laid back, it's so relaxed, so tranquil. They will go out with the friends. I remember in the middle of the evening, we might go out to watch movies in somebody's house, and we come out maybe at 2, 3 in the morning. As college students, we come and we walk down a very dark alleys, and we go around the city, just as if it was anytime. Very safe. The people, the Rastafarians with the big long hair, then they will just walk up to you and be there with you, and you are okay. You don't feel in danger. So after a while, I stopped being so aware of everything that was around, and how everything will move, and I felt safe. And one day came where I was walking on the street. It was not so late, maybe about 10 or 11 p.m. I was coming back from work, and I was on my phone and I saw a group of teenagers coming towards me, and I didn't pay attention. And as soon as they came near me, they pulled around me and they pulled something on my side and told me, give me the phone, give me your wallet. And I was like, oh no. And I took out my phone and say, oh, give me your backpack. Say, oh man, I have all my books and I am a missionary, I am here. And well, they just took it and took off. And I was like, afterwards, I felt like I saw it. Afterwards, I was feeling like I could have avoided. I was feeling so safe that I didn't do anything. I was not prepared for it. And when I play it back on my mind, I think if that what would have happened back home in my home country, where I am aware of the dangers, long before they approach me, I will have crossed the road. I will have gotten ready to run. I will have been prepared to be safe or to look for my safety. But because I was feeling safe, I had gotten accustomed to being there and staying in that environment, I wasn't taking precautions. I was not trying to be safe. And I feel that that's often what happens for us online. We have our devices and we feel that it is something very safe. And we don't take precautions. We say, okay, well, I don't have anything to hide, anything that is important, so I don't take care of what is happening in my online life. And that is the first danger that we get ourselves into, because we stop being careful. We feel that we are safe. And I think that as missionaries, as we go out, it's important for us to be aware that the internet is not a safe place. The internet is not a place where we can just let our guard down and say, well, I have control of what websites I click on. I have control on what I watch, because in reality, we don't. Oh, we have security about my identity. Oh, my things are okay, when in reality, we are vulnerable. So it's important for us, in the first step of staying safe, is to acknowledge the dangers of these devices that we have on our hands, the danger of the computer, of the connected life that we have, and how used to we have gotten to share information online just to receive some small benefits. The amount of information that we share on Facebook, the amount of personal information that we share on Google, we share on different websites when we log in, we ought to be careful. Not because we have something to hide, but because we are aware that the devil can use anything to attack, especially when we start making a strive towards reaching those in need. The devil can use any small thing to let us lose focus of how things work. So, as we enter the topic of safety online, I want to say firstly that we stay aware of the dangers. Stay always on the lookout, because everything that we share online can be published and can be shared and can be stolen. So when we put something online, when we put in information online, we are make sure that we are careful of what we share. But with that in mind, I want to share 5 different ways that we can be a little bit safer online, trying to improve and to safeguard our ministries. Because it will be easy for us to lose our Facebook account. Imagine if, like we were talking about it last week, about using 2-step authentication on our accounts. Because if somebody comes and hacks your Facebook account, they hack your Google account, they can easily steal from you or delete all your followers, all your accounts, everything that you have worked for, all the people that you are reaching out to, they can disappear in a blink of an eye. Just because our login information was not secure. And last week we talked a little bit about security. So I will not talk much about that. You can go back and look on our YouTube page or on Facebook and check the video from last week when we talk about security. Today, I'm going to talk about safety. And on safety, the first point we already mentioned is staying aware of the dangers. And that is always be selective of what we do online. Keep on the lookout for dangers, because things can be very, very deceiving. Lately, we have seen, or I have been looking at different scams, for example, that are happening here in Thailand and around Asia. Simple websites that come up and say that they are from a bank or that they are from a company, and they call you on the phone, or they send you an email asking you for basic information. And that is the way that they start to gather details from you and are able to access your information, even going as far as accessing your bank accounts online, because today all our banking information is online. I was helping a friend to organize his trip lately, and all his information for his travel, not only his ticket, but also his visa and even his health report and his permit to enter the country, everything is held online. Countries now with this COVID-19, they are moving to everything online. So my friend had to do all the registration, everything online, and before he traveled, they didn't send him only some things to print, but they sent him a QR code and a program and an app on his phone that he will need to track and show the information as he boards the plane and as he lands in the country. That's how he was going to be able to enter. And that app will contain all his medical history. So it's amazing how much information we have and how this can be used for different purposes. So we need to be aware and careful of how we share information and how we allow people into our lives. When we check emails, make sure that you know what email is coming from. If you don't know who that person is, if you don't see that personal email, it is distinguishing, or you don't know where it's coming from, do not open it. But you might say, well, but we're doing ministry. We are people that are coming and asking us for Bible study on our email. Well, maybe we can open and keep two different accounts. We can have two different email accounts, one for our ministry where we know where and what kind of emails we receive there, who are the kind of people that receive information from there that will email us there. So when we check those emails, we understand and we see what patterns, and we can identify people that are safe or those emails that I should not even open. For example, what I do is I have a third email account that I use for all my online registrations. So any website that asks me for a login and password when I am testing something, I don't give them my personal email. I don't give them my email for my ministry. I give them a third email that I use only for registrations online. So whenever I go to test a new app or to test a new service, that's the email I use. And most of those emails that come there go from spam, and I only check that email whenever I'm registering for a service and I need to verify the email account. If later on I decide to keep that service or to continue using the service, I can very well go into the profile page and change the email address to my personal email address, where I will keep track, and I know where that email is coming from and who is opening the email. So you can make sure that always when you open your emails, you know who is it coming from and the reasons where it's coming from. Do not open emails that you don't know where it's coming from. It's the same thing as I mentioned last week. Do not answer phone calls if you don't know where it's coming from, or answer surveys that you have not been asked to be part of. Just don't share that information. Yes, don't allow them in, because remember, we have to keep on the lookout for scams, on the lookout for phishing, and on the lookout for people that are trying to gather information or to scam us. So number one, as we are always on the lookout, we do not We check our email responsibly, try not to open any emails that we have not requested, and do not interact with websites. When we install apps, when we install software on our computers, we are very skeptical about where we open from. Check. The easiest thing to do, copy the URL of the software where you're installing it from, or the company that you're using, or the app where you're going to install it, and go and check on Google. Just copy that URL on Google and put reviews. And you will have a whole list of reviews of people that are talking about that company, that app. And sure enough, if you look it well enough, you will be able to notice if there are bad reviews, if there's somebody talking bad about that company or about that program that might not be safe. The same thing, for example, when I receive phone calls that I don't know from a phone number that I don't know from, I will not answer. I will go on Google, type the phone number, and what do you know? Oftentimes it comes up as a block number or coming from a robot call or something like that. So it is important for us to keep safe and have a second check when we are going to do something, because in reality is that we need to be aware that there are dangers out there, and whatever we can do to prepare for those dangers is important. But as we are going through it, we need to be aware and on the lookout for what we do. So that is my take or my advice on part number 1, which is be on the lookout. And this is something that is important, and I have found it very useful in my ministry to keep me safe and keep the work that I do online safe, as well as keeping people from the different chats or keeping the comment section on our different pages safe for people. Any questions? I know that we have a number of new visitors, new members here on our Zoom. So I thank you everyone for joining us here. Taf has come to join us. Shirley Saavedra, thank you so much. Welcome to the Zoom. Thank you for coming to our weekly online missionary conversation. Mr. Ian Cesar, welcome so much. Thank you for coming here. Erwin Oswald, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us here on Zoom, and also you that are joining us on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you so much for being here. What have been your experience? Before I continue to number 2, how can we be ready and prepare beforehand? What things can I install on my phone? What things can I install on my computer to keep me safe? That will be the second step. So the first step, we're talking about staying on the lookout. And I give you a few tips. Have you experienced anything like that before? Have you experienced anything that has to do with safety as you feel too safe online? Or maybe you have a question. Please let me hear. If you are on Zoom, please feel free to unmute yourself or put your camera on. If you are on the different social networks, please chat. You can write as well and share your question. Have you experienced some challenges when you are online? How have you feel safe, and maybe that had put you in danger? You have any tips that we can use on this regard? Any comments for the good of the group? Let me see. I don't hear any hands, any comments, any experience that you would like to share in your ministry. Well, you know, when I am really sure that we have all experienced this, and the challenges that we have with online and feeling too safe online, it is something that we need to be aware of and be careful with that, because when we feel too safe, we stop taking precautions and we start being on the lookout for what might be of danger. Okay, so we have no comments, no questions. I'm checking here on the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Let me move to step number 2. So the second one is what can you do to prevent? So while you are on the journey, So let's say, remember the story I told you at the beginning. My grandfather will travel days into the jungle to go and visit and take the word of God to the remote places. So when he was going through the jungle, he was to be aware of everything, all the dangers around him, and be ready to react. He cannot just feel too comfortable on the way because a snake might pop up, or something completely out of the blue will come. And it's good for us to stay on the lookout when we are online. It's not a safe place. But also, before he starts the journey, there are some things that we can do to prevent or to keep ourselves safe. No, he will buy a machete. He will have his machete. Sometimes he'll carry a gun. Yes, I know pastors carrying a gun is not something common, but down in South America at that time, it was something that you will do. I remember going to my grandfather's house, and I was looking at that big rifle next to his bed. That was something interesting for me growing up. But he will be able to protect himself and be ready for what might happen. He will also carry extra vitamins. He will take sometimes some antibiotics ahead of time, or some pills for the malaria. Or he will buy boots and special gear that he might need to stay safe. Well, the same thing with us online. Online, we need to stay safe, and we can do some things to prevent that. For safety, my number one problem that I have experienced is with those pop-ups that come up and those ads that come up in some websites. I think that is one of the areas where we need to be very careful and we can do something about it. So there are two pieces of software that you can install that can help with that. One is your antivirus, and that normally it includes a pop-up blocker or an ad blocker. They are not so expensive anymore. Normally you will pay about $2 to $5 for it. Sometimes it will have a bundle like $16 for 2 or 3 years. And you can access those antivirus. There are a number of different softwares that you can use from, and they range in price and they range in capabilities. But something that I like to advise is look for an antivirus that will maybe combine a little bit of firewall, maybe some ad blocking, and then the virus protection for your computer that will keep it safe. Sometimes they will also, as part of the package, they will have antivirus for your computer and as well for your cell phone. That's the case for McAfee, for example. They offer antivirus for your computer and for your cell phone at the same price. So it's a bundle that you can buy for that. Don't go for the free versions. Be careful with the free versions and where you install them from, because sometimes people can download the free versions or the open source types of antivirus, modify the code, and then offer them on different websites, and it is not the original version, and it can have already files inside that are not safe for your computer or your cell phone. So that is one thing that you should look at if you are online, and if you can put a little money aside to stay safe. Sometimes these programs will also come with password protection. They will also help you to have always good passwords on your system. And those are some of the things that you can do. I have Taf here. I'm not sure if you have Taf, if you can open your mic. You are more familiar with this antivirus. I don't know if you have some names that come to your mind that you have seen. Just think about that. Maybe you can share with us some of your experiences there with the antivirus, and those is something that really help us and can keep us safe online on our computers and our devices. They will protect us from any software that might come in that we don't want to, or any pop-ups or ads that might come into in the middle of our presentation, in the middle of our Zoom call, in the middle of us sharing our screen, in the middle of a sermon. If we have a virus or we have a malware on our computer, we can be preaching a sermon. In the middle of it, a pop-up or an ad will come up that can ruin the connection with our audience. So we have to be very careful about those things. It's important to keep the precautions and stay safe. And apart from your antivirus, which can protect your ads, can protect your computer from viruses, from malware, and can also protect you from passwords, there's another software that can also help us to stay safe. It is called a VPN, a virtual private network. There are a number of them out there. There are Shark VPN, NordVPN. Just type VPN on Google and you will see a whole bunch of them. There are some that go from, I think, $80 to $100 for 3 years. Some that go for much less, like $5, $7 for a year. And they have different options. Some of them would also include the ad blocker, the pop-up blocker, and even antivirus. So you have to see all the bundles and all the different things that you can access and how they can keep you safe. What the VPN does is really creates a secure connection between you and the website that you are visiting or the servers where you are visiting. So, for example, if I am on the road and I go to a place where they have free Wi-Fi, the moment that I connect to that Wi-Fi, all my data, it is visible to that Wi-Fi connection. So if somebody is connected to the same Wi-Fi, it doesn't have to be that the shop, it is malicious. It can be another person in the shop that can be sitting down there and with a small program on the computer, and I think on the tablet as well, they can just start fishing for any content that is going on that network. So you can be opening your app for your bank account, or you can be checking your account online. And when you enter your password, when you enter the website where you're going to, the person that is checking the traffic can identify your passwords. Your Facebook account, your Google account, they normally send identifiers back and forward, a token, every so often. And if you are on an unsecure network, then anybody that is on that network can see those tokens, and they can copy those tokens and access your Facebook, your YouTube, all your accounts with that token. And it is something that before it was hard to do. Somebody what really had to know about coding and internet to be able to exercise this kind of phishing attacks. But today it's as easy as downloading a software. It is very simple. Almost anybody can do it, and that creates a layer of danger that we need to be aware of. And that's what a VPN does. What a VPN does, it encrypts or makes all those tokens and all that information that's leaving your cell phone or your computer towards the Wi-Fi network or any network, and will encrypt it, will make it unreadable, will make it completely unreadable to anybody. And when it reaches to the other side, to the server, they will decrypt it. They will change it in a way that it was supposed to be normal or originally, and will send it as it was supposed to be to your end user. So for example, when I am on a VPN and I am connecting and logging into my Facebook account, normally I will put pablo@gmail.com, and it will send exactly that line, pablo@gmail.com, towards the internet, towards Gmail straight away. And that line can be fished from anybody on that network. But when I have a VPN, that pablo@gmail.com becomes letters and numbers. That is unreadable. But instead of going directly to Google, now it goes to my VPN server. The VPN server grabs all those numbers and letters that have no sense, uses an encryption key, uses a key that goes into that code and make it make sense. That says pablo@gmail.com, and then the VPN server sends it to Gmail as it was intended. So all the traffic between me and the server is completely blind and encrypted. And that's how people have been getting around the big wall of China, for example. In China, is a big thing that people use to be able to bypass the Chinese restrictions and be able to see websites and access services that are normally not allowed in China, because with the VPN, your information is changed and it is encrypted, so the networks cannot see it. And that is something that can keep you safe, especially if you are on the road, if you are a person that does a lot of work outside of your network, or that you have open network in your house and some other people might be logging into your network. So that's something that could be important and a safe thing to use. So those are the two major softwares or things that we can do to prevent and to get ready for any attacks online. But I would like to hear from you. What have been your experiences? What questions do you have? How can we stay safe online? And how can we make our work and our ministry safer as we go out there into the online world? Yes, I would like to hear from you. Those of us here on Zoom, it's your time, your opportunity to share and to ask questions. You want to add some more information, something of your experience? Those of you that are on YouTube, on Facebook. Yes, Pastor.
That I know of, one of our schools got ransomware.
Mm-hmm.
I think through an email, like what you're saying earlier. And as a result, many of the files were, ransom, encrypted. They could not open, and they have to contact the person who, and then they like asking for something in return. So it's really very important to back up, like what we have already shared last time. Number one, backup data, and then also make sure you have all the things installed to keep your system safe. And especially if you're using a server for institutions or churches, which contain a lot of data, so you have to make sure that there are safety measures that are in place. Especially if now many of our institutions are using like the online platforms, online systems. So we need to be very careful. And they lost a lot of important files they could not recover anymore. And they had to start all over again. Even some records of students. Good thing they had the hard copies still, some of them. So they're able to compile the data again. So it's very important to really keep everything safe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely those emails that we receive and how we share her. And it's not only for us. I mean, it's not only for my safety. We have to be careful what emails do we open and what things do we download and see on the emails. It's not only for us, but also for our contacts. Because, for example, if I am affected and I open a account that is not safe and I download something into my browser, it's possible that the first thing they do is to contact my contact list. So maybe tomorrow, Pastor God will receive an email saying, "Oh, Pablo needs your help. Please download this file." And you just go, "Oh, an email from Pablo. Okay, sure." I download it, and there you go. So it's not only for your safety, but it's also for those around us. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Pastor. That helps a lot. Yeah.
Another thing in my browsing experience, most of the browsers now, they have you can install an extension that blocks pop-ups or ads. So we have to make sure that we make use of those things in our browsers, whatever browser we are using, and that prevents a lot of things, especially when you are browsing online and using like what you have shared earlier, using an online platform for a sermon or a talk, and then suddenly some pop-ups will come out. Usually browsers now have a safety feature also that will allow you to block all of those things.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Who else would like to share? Who else have had an experience with this and would like to share or have a question? Yes, Pastor Wilter.
I'm not sharing, but I just want to ask something. Recently, I think it was last year, while I was doing the video for the online worship, I've been told that Windows 10 has a great uh, protection, even if I'm not installing any antivirus. But at that time, I've been attacked by some ransomware from Dot Carlos, if I'm not mistaken, and it was very popular on the website. So what I've been doing was that I've been told that Windows 10 is has a good protection. So, what is your opinion about it?
Well, yes, they have. Generally, Windows 10 already comes with a what they call a firewall, and it has some, I think, some basic antivirus. Maybe Taff is my go-to person here on the technical side. If I have something wrong, Taff. Taff, you want to tackle this one?
Yeah. I was about to ask you, do you want me to chip in?
Yes, please. You are the expert on that area. I am
Yeah,
on the practical side.
the thing is, like I mentioned last time, the main person who is not secure is you yourself. So the system can be secure itself, but what are you downloading? Because bare bones Windows itself, they have Windows Defender, but Windows Defender, they can do so much. There are viruses that it cannot detect or it cannot serve out. So hence you need an antivirus to be able to detect those viruses, because it's not all of the viruses that default Windows Defender can defend you against. So most of the time, it's advised or a good option to get an antivirus, and then you need also to watch what you are downloading. Where are you downloading from? But yes, some of these programs can be expensive. You want to save money, you're on a budget, but you start to ask yourself, what am I saving myself from? If it's going to be something that, let's say, for example, an antivirus costs $10 for a year, and then you say, oh, no, that's too expensive. Let me go with the free one, or just use the default Windows one. And okay, now I start downloading this, now downloading that. It's not. So when you download something that's malicious and you can evade the system that Windows already has or the security Windows already have, your computer is infected. That's one of the reasons why at Trinity we started disallowing people to give us USBs, because almost every week or every other week the computer was affected with something, and we had to wipe out the whole data and restart again. So we don't know what you have in your system, and then you give us, let's say, USB, and then automatically that thing now is special now in church, now in the church computer. And people like to get videos, or you made a video from your computer. Now it's coming. Now it's in the church computer. Someone wants to copy. Oh, I like that video. I like that sermon. Can I copy it? Now that person has whatever. It's now the virus starts to go around like COVID-19. So it's like at the end of the day, that default Windows protection, it to a certain point. Nowadays, viruses are very smart that it doesn't even do anything. It just lets everything come through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The software can do so much, and feeling safe, I think, is more dangerous than anything else, because we feel that, okay, we have Windows Defender or we have antivirus, and then we start downloading all kind of movies from the internet or software and sharing thumb drives, and then we feel that we might catch something that we're not ready for. Yeah. Pastor Wilder, as
Yeah, another questions about regarding the antivirus. If I'm buying one, for example, like Taff said, I need to buy an antivirus. Is it safe for me to buy and get the license from Shopee, because it's much cheaper there?
I saw this coming. I would say for me, it depends. Because, yeah, there are places where you can get an antivirus that's cheap and affordable. And yeah, you can go ahead and buy it and see. Anyway, once you buy or they send that DVD or disc to you, you have to check yourself, was this legit or I was scammed online? So you can also, in buying online, there are risks that you're taking there. But you're buying from a vendor who maybe you don't know about.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so even on Shopee or let's say Shopee, Lazada or Amazon, that's now another area when it comes to online shopping where you have to see what product.
Yeah, there are two. I think there are two things there.
Check if this is really a good item. Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying that there are two things, Pastor Wilder, there that you mentioned. One is to buy the software on Shopee or on these other websites, or buying the license, because there are two different markets. One market is when they capture the software, the original software, and they then go into the program and modify the files so it will not ask you for a license. The danger there is that when they modify those files in the program, they can also insert virus, they can also insert other things in there that you don't know. So that's one software or program that you buy online, modified, that doesn't require a license. Or what I think is a little bit safer is to buy the license. So you download the program from the official website, and then you buy a license, the license number, from Shopee or Lazada. Now, how the people came up with that that number is that oftentimes these companies have discounted or free licenses, for example, for education, for non-profits, or for different purposes. So normally they will issue free licenses. And what these people have done is they go in and they take these license numbers that are not being used for education in universities, schools, or colleges, and they take them and they resell them. Now, normally they will work. The danger there is because they are reselling a license that really belongs to somebody else. The danger is that the license, by the time you put it in, somebody else is already using it. So the license might not work because somebody is already using it, or that after time it becomes unusable because it has expired in the original owner. For example, I know the Union, Sarawak Mission, Hope Channel, they are registered as a non-profits. So they have access to Office 368, I think 100 licenses. So each of them have access to 100 licenses of Office 368 because they are non-profits, registered non-profits. So, but they only have maybe 20 computers in the office and maybe only 10 workers that are using the licenses. So all those other licenses that are not being used, those licenses, people could take that out and resell it and sell it to other people. They are free licenses. But the moment that somebody else in the union or somebody else starts to use the license, then it becomes unusable for whoever bought it, because you can reissue the license. So so we have to be careful with that. So whenever we work with the church organization, it's good that we check and see if our mission is registered as a nonprofit, so they can have access to some of these software licenses for free, especially the Office 368 for education and for nonprofits. It is free. So check around the church and see maybe the licenses that are not being used, for at least for those software, at least that are often pirated, and sometimes can come in with virus already when you buy them pirated, because they are modified to not use the license. So sometimes they insert there something else. Or you can buy those licenses online from other people. So just be careful. On the two sides, there are pros and cons. There are dangers that that could happen. Hope that helps. Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else? You have any other questions? Any comments? Any experience? Have you had any experience with safety online? Safety online can be a very big topic, and I'm trying to look at it from our perspective as missionaries, because there's safety online as well for our kids, and as well for us as couple, as a husband and wife. There are also certain things that can keep us safe online, and that might be a complete a different topic that we can get into. And next week we are talking about again part 3 of safety and security, and we're talking about mental health, how we use the internet, how we keep the internet safe and secure for our mental health. That will be our topic for next week. Yes, Pastor Galbo, want to
Yes,
share?
I saw one time that you shared about a topic. I don't know if I miss it. How to keep online sharing platforms like Zoom and probably all the others, Meet, Google Meet, and other things that we use sometimes for our online worship safe. Maybe a lot of our churches are now using some of these platforms. Can you give some more tips on how we can keep it safe from people just entering and hacking into the meeting and ruining our online worship?
Yeah, Pastor, you're correct. Yeah, we haven't gone into that yet. We'll still come to that topic in detail. Right now, we just want to get, if Pablo may allow me, you just want to get this concept of security out to people so that we understand what this is all about. And then once we have an idea of what is security, how to be secure, then we go now in more depth into platforms like you mentioned, Zoom, Google Meet, and all of these platforms we use for online worship. It's a bit a learning curve. For example, if you don't know anything about security and now you go directly deep into this is suggested, or you do this like this, you start to have questions of why am I doing it? Why should I do it? So if first let's have this understanding of what security is all about, how to be secure, then we will go into best practices, for example, on worshiping online on Zoom, for instance. What are some best practices we can incorporate in our services as a church, as a small group, when we are using this platform? What should be on our lookout? What we should look out for? What can we set up to ensure that we are safe? Yeah, some of these things.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely, because because it is a big topic. It's a lot really to share. So we have that whole presentation that we'll do maybe 2 weeks from now about specifically Zoom, and then we'll tackle specific social media, also specific security platforms what we use and how to use it in that way. So we have Zoom, we have Facebook, we have our website. How do we keep those three secure? That will be part on its own. But in general terms, what we normally, the basic thing that we try to do is one, when you share for what we try to do, the first line of defense is when you share the ID of your Zoom meeting and the password for your Zoom meeting, try to always share it. If you share it publicly, share it only on an image format. So only share your ID and your password publicly as an image inside a picture, not as a text, because the computers, we call it spiders, they can read what is written, and whatever is public, there are millions of spiders and bots looking at those combination of numbers and Zoom and ID, and they're looking for that. Whenever they find the right combination, then automatically the robots will go into your Zoom meeting because they got the password and the ID already from the public, from your website, or maybe from your Facebook page, or from your Instagram, the description on your Instagram. Anything that's public, a bot will have access to it, and if it's written, it is very easy for them to just scrape it and take it. So maybe my one tip for today is always share your ID for the Zoom and the password, especially on an image. And if you want to share the link or in words, only do it on a private messaging. So private messaging is okay between people, is fine, and also something that is that only certain people have access to, that is secure, like a group, like a Facebook group that is closed. Then you can share it there or in Messenger. That's just a general tip on that one. Yes. Okay, our time is almost over, but is there any other comment, any other question, any other experience that you have had that we can benefit from you as you share? Okay. I feel that and we'll talk in detail next week about safety and our mental health and our personal safety online. But as we go on to continue with our mission, as we go and do the mission online, that we stay on the lookout. We acknowledge that this is a dangerous world, and the devil is going around like a roaring lion, looking someone to devour. So the Bible is clear about it, and we need to build securities and build things in place that can help us to stay safe. We will never be able to do it on our own, because God is the ultimate protector and the ultimate that it is in control of everything. But we need to do our part. We need to make sure that we are safe for us, first of all, and then God will do the rest. I mentioned last week, for example, if you have the dawn, if you have the gift of going to the ghetto and preaching the ghetto, it's your gift. You go and you do it with the glory of God, and you keep your precautions, your safety. That's where you are. If you like to do ministry in the prisons, you go. It's your gift, your call, and you take your precautions. You take your safety and your family's safety in check, and you know where you're going. If we're going to be online on different platforms, we keep ourselves in check. We know what dangers are there, not only for us, but also for our family members, also for those around us, for our contacts. Because once we are infected with the virus, it's like COVID, as Staff said. Once we're infected with the virus, everybody around us can be infected as well. And we try to keep everybody safe. And ultimately, as we'll talk next week, is we'll try to keep our own mental health and our relationships safe with what we share online, or what we see online, what we talk about online. And there are a few software in that area as well that we'll discuss next week about personal accountability. How much time I use online, what kind of websites I'm visiting, how I'm interacting online, or where I am. Those things are some safety tips that we can do for our personal safety that we'll talk more about next week. Any closing words, any words of wisdom, something good that you would like to share for the good of the group? Anybody? Okay.
Learning about is not something to scare you. It's something to educate you. So don't go home and feel scared or cannot do anything. No, you can still go ahead and surf on the internet, but it's better now because now you know, you're aware. So maybe before you didn't know, now you know. So it's not something that should stop you from continuing with your online services or your online programs. You know, it's something to educate you on how you can stay safe. So yeah, that's my last words for today.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Staff. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here and sharing with us. Thank you, Pastor Arnon Galmo. Thank you for being here and sharing with us. Thank you, Pastor Erwin and Pastor Wilter, and everyone that joined on a Zoom call, and those of you that are on the different platforms on YouTube and Facebook as well. Thank you for being here and being part of this ministry as we grow together and continue to be ready to serve the Lord online and in every interaction that we have. With that, before I go, I have to let you know that we are continuing working on online ministry. Here is a support ministry for the church, working with the help of Trinity Adventist International Church and sponsored by community7.org. We are offering free websites for churches, free websites for ministries at advent.me. Go ahead, visit on our website at advent.me. and check out a little bit about what we're doing. It is a beta version. You can open your website for free. You can start your church website there as well, and you can be part of that work. I hope that you check out what we are doing, and as well as continue to contribute and be part of the ministry. So you have my contact information there on the screen. You can look for me at riospablo.co anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my email at riospablo@community7.org. Hope that we can be in contact. And again, invite your friends, invite those in your churches, invite your church pastors, and invite your co-workers to join us next week so we can have a rich experience and rich discussion about how we keep ourselves, our mental health, safe online. For next week on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Bangkok time, we'll be here again next week. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you, Erwin and everybody for being here. And with that, from my heart to yours, have a restoring and healing week. God bless you.